and writer, and she once won a contest for writing an essay, What Freedom Means to Me. She loves dogs. I think she likes some people, maybe all of us, but she loves all the dogs. I know that. She is observant and thoughtful. We always look forward to her speeches. Please welcome Kay Kephart, Going Home Again, Kay Kephart.
Thank you. Good morning in this beautiful spring, almost spring weather. I want to go home again. I was very eager to leave my little town on the edge of Appalachia. I left it when I was barely 17 years old. I went to college. At the time, I knew so little about my home, except I wanted to leave it because it bored me. And there were people that were looking at you in this small town of 4,000. Now, it is the place to go. It is mentioned in many publications because people retire there. And it is in the mountains. It is called Abingdon, Virginia. It is 15 miles on the expressway from 3 major cities, Bristol, Johnson City, and Kingsport. So it is the goodness of a small town, the convenience of a city. There is many outdoor sports. It has one of the few legitimate theaters sponsored by the state. Many actors actually got their start there when I was a little girl or even younger. That is not my picture on the screen. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it is a place where you can get a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer any day of the week. Just walk into their office because many professionals have moved there. And it's true, there's a clash between the old timers and the new chic, moneyed people who are moving in. I went last fall in the middle of the pandemic because my friend has fallen in love with this little town. And all he ever wants to do is go back there. He cannot believe that I was eager to leave. The reason he wants to go back is there is a bicycle trail from a nearby mountain that extends through an old railroad track called Virginia Creeper. And it is supposedly one of the most beautiful trails on the entire eastern seaboard. And I found that many bicyclers actually know of it. Now, I've talked about Abingdon before, but when I went in the middle of the pandemic, I didn't want to see my one remaining aunt who lived there because I didn't want her to get any virus from me. My friend was on the trail, so I simply walked around the vacant streets of my town. And I found out many things I should have known long ago. One is this was a gateway to the Cumberland Gap, this old town. And it was originally called Wolf Hills because Daniel Boone spent some time there with his dogs, and there were wolves that came after his dog. So it has a long, long history. The house I grew up in, I've talked about before, was built in 1795. It has a plaque on it. It is now very chic. When I lived in it, it was very tumbled down. So I walked by my house and I noticed everything was so small. I thought thought everything was so big. But the cave house over the cave where Daniel Boone spent the night with his dog now has an annex, and you can't go down into the cave. There was a man there, and we started talking at social appropriate distances. And it turns out I got to ask him one of the questions that I have always wondered my whole life. It was a story. The man who started the theater, Robert Porterfield, and they would come to our house for props for the theater. Robert Porterfield started it during the Depression. He called it the barter. You could take in a 25-pound bag of potatoes and get a ticket to a legitimate theater. And so Robert Porterfield was a big name there. This young man that I ran into during our last fall was standing in front of the cave house, less than half a block from my house where Daniel Boone was, looking. And I said, "Oh, so you know about the cave house?" He said, "No, actually, I own the cave house." I said, "Well," and I found out he had been adopted by Robert Porterfield, who started the theater. And I said, "Well, tell me something." There was always been a story that Robert Porterfield had a cleaning lady from deep in the Appalachians, and she brought in her little toddler son one day when she was cleaning. And Robert Porterfield was playing with this child. And she says, "You want that youngin'? You like that youngin'? I got 15 more at home. You can have that kid. You can have that youngin' if you want him." And Robert Porterfield ended up adopting the son. Now, I didn't know if this was a true story or not. And this young man said, "Yes, indeed. In fact, he later on adopted me. And that's why I own the cave house and property in Abingdon." So go home, find out the stories in your hometown, and come to Abingdon.
Thank you, Kay. Let's all take a minute on